But yeah, we'll move on, obviously, to Wonka, like I said. Let me get up the synopsis.
All the boys are wonking.
I swear, bro, that's the most overused.
I've never been.
I never heard anyone say it before I said it, so I never heard Wonkin and Wonk out.
But like, in the last like week, every other tweet I see is "I've been wanked off" or "I've been wonked off."
I'm claiming
it's mine. Keep it PG. Right, let me get this thinking. Okay,
but yes, we have all been wonked off.
We've been wonked off hard. Willy Wonka, chock full of ideas and determined to change the world. One delectable bite at a time. Jesus, I can't speak then. It's proof that the best things in life begin with a dream, and if you're lucky enough to meet Willy Wonka, anything is possible. So obviously, this is a Wonka origin story. You know, before his factory and all that good stuff, played by Timothée Chalamet. One of my most anticipated films of the year. You know, I've been wonking for a while. So is Tyler. We've been on the wonk train.
I've been wonk out. I'll be honest. I was wonk out for a long time.
You were wonk out, and now you're wonk in. So
now I'm wonk in. Yeah.
This is going to keep going for ages, isn't it? That's ridiculous. So obviously start off giving spoiler-free thoughts, stuff like that. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Just give us your spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll kind of move on from there.
Yeah, well, first there's a funny thing that popped up on Twitter yesterday was that their studios are starting to not market musicals as musicals because audiences don't like musicals. Yeah. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory were musicals, like especially the first one. But even Tim Burton's,
would you count the first one as a musical?
I would count the first one.
The
second one I wouldn't call a musical, but there's plenty of musical numbers.
The reason is it's like hard to, because I think a musical is like where the songs move the narrative forward, whereas in like Willy Wonka it's a bit weird half the time because they're like structural. I don't know what kind of counts as a musical. I guess it is.
I think because like the first one with like the chocolate shop scene where the guy's trying to sell the chocolate.
Yeah,
like I feel like
I love that scene.
I feel like that one's more musical, but still, like it's like you should have known there's gonna be musical numbers in this. And same thing.
I mean, obviously it's a fucking Willy Wonka film,
right?
You've seen the other two. There's so many songs in them.
Crazy. But Timothée Chalamet was so great in this, and I know Seth, you touched on it, and everyone has touched on it that like you can't compare him to like Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp. I think you can compare Johnny Depp and Gene Wilder because they're playing like the same version of Wonka, like the same part in their career. Whereas this is like an origin story. So he's not even like the same guy at this point. He's 20 years or so earlier. So this is like just a completely different thing. It's figuring out how Willy Wonka went from being an orphan to opening his first chocolate shop and the struggles and how he gets there. And I mean, this movie is just such a treat, such a delight. The visuals are so beautiful. I wish there was a little more practical because there's some moments where the CGI looked a little wonky, but still the set design that was
looked a little what?
A little wonky, yeah, good one. But I wish there was a little more practical design, but still overall it was such a treat to watch. The cast was so great. I know Seth, you're going to talk about that a lot more too, because they're all people you grew up loving. So I'll kind of say that for you. But everyone in this, from the minor supporting to Timothée Chalamet himself, was great. Musical numbers, awesome. Especially I forget, like the Scrub song, iconic. The song he does with what's her name? I'm forgetting her character's name.
Noodle.
Noodle. Yeah. Noodle. The kind of duet
that was my favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's interesting.
Dude, that song almost got a tear out of me. That song almost got it was so emotional, they're trying to figure out what rhymes with noodle, and then they
like that one. People I didn't like that one. That's
I really like that one.
It was just like two best friends or two random people becoming best friends. It was just so cute.
I think it took me a little bit to buy into the movie because obviously from the trailer, like I was in from the second I saw the trailer, but there were still some reservations I had, but I was still going to be publicly like, I'm super in on this because I want to be, Team Wonka, because I had faith in Paul King and Timothée Chalamet, because I think it's crazy to not have faith in Timothée Chalamet and Paul King. Like, it's just so funny to me seeing so many people with their reviews being like, I thought this was going to suck, but I loved it. I'm like, when has like Timothée Chalamet ever showed up and like delivered a bad performance? And like anyone who's seen Paddington, like why would you expect Paul King to just all of a sudden just not make a magical kids movie?
I haven't seen Paddington. I was still in.
Oh, you should see Paddington.
You got to see Paddington.
Oh, after this, I got so many comments like, you should see Paddington. I'm like, yeah, I absolutely should. If I love this, then surely Paddington 2, especially. Yeah. Paddington 2 has like crazy high reviews as well.
Paddington 2 goes crazy.
Yeah.
But this movie was so fun. It took me a while to buy in, like I said, from the opening scene, I was like, okay, like this, we'll see where this goes. And then by the time the second act comes, I was super in. And then the third act, I truly thought was like perfect for what this movie was trying to do. Everything about the third act I loved, all the way up to the very end conclusion of the movie. Like just everything was just phenomenal. This movie was so fun. I love the musical numbers. I love Timothée Chalamet, all the supporting cast, like I said. And this is just like what I was hoping it to be. I was hoping it to be magical. Seth, I know you mentioned this in your Letterboxd review as well. Like, it's so awesome that kids are going to be able to grow up with this movie. I don't know if you guys saw the behind the scenes of like a screening that Timothée Chalamet and the Wonka, it was just him, I think, held for like a bunch of kids. And like, that was just so fun to see, like how into it the kids were and how Timothée Chalamet was just the perfect version of Wonka. Whereas like a kid screening hosted by Johnny Depp might be like very different. So Timothée Chalamet, huge thumbs up. The hat, like I'm just looking at the letterbox right now. I wanted to take a bite of it the whole movie. It just looked like it was chocolate the whole time. His top hat. I was like, man, that just looks so delectable. But it's just such a fun movie, man. And I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts.
Okay, cool. What did you give it? You didn't say that.
I give it a 3.5. So not like the highest in the world on it, because like it's not, I don't know, like it's not like a Poor Things for me, which is like a 4, but it's still very good. Like I think we're just in a world with the letterbox culture where, George, I know you touched on this like a month or two ago with Boy and the Heron, where it's like you drop a 3.5, you're like, oh wow, major disappointment, I guess. I'm like, no, like very fun, very like movie that I had a great time with. So yeah, 3.5 is what I ended up giving it.
Nice. George, spoiler 3 thoughts?
Pretty much everything Tyler said. This movie was just a warm hug and just a bundle of fucking joy. 2 hours of just smiling from ear to ear. Like Tyler said, I think the musical numbers, I think they were just infectious. I just had such a good time with everything going on screen at all parts. Everything from Timothée Chalamet to Hugh Grant, who played a smaller supporting role. I think everyone was just so lovable.
Smaller role.
I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, I'm good like that. Like just for 2 hours, everything that was going on screen, I was just entranced by. I just had such a good time with everything. It just was such just a massive just stretch of entertainment. I think Timmy is just so lovable as this role. I had slight doubts. I know, which is stupid because of how much I love Timmy and just how good he's been over the last like couple of years, but this is like a very different role than what he's played. It's definitely more like out there, more charismatic, so I was very curious to see how he would pull it off. And I think as a predecessor to Gene Wilder's Wonka, I think this version just makes so much sense. And after having seen the movie, I think Timmy was just the best possible choice. I know a lot of people were fan casting Jeremy Allen White because he looks like Gene Wilder.
It's the appearance, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's more and so in the appearance. Like, I don't know if I could see Jeremy Allen White doing the things Timmy did in this movie.
He doesn't look innocent enough to play a young Willy Wonka, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't picture him being a good singer either.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't picture Timmy being a good singer either.
That's fair.
But I know, obviously, he went to like a performing arts school, so I guess that just... I'm sure he had singing classes every so often. But yeah, 2 hours of just such a good fucking time. I think the production design was just so vibrant and colorful, and it was just made for such a fun and inventive experience. The costume design, everyone seemed to just commit to this movie, which I absolutely loved. I said in my TikTok review, everyone that was a part of the cast and that was a part of this production just seemed to have a genuinely good time being there. Like, this movie didn't seem like a chore for anyone to make. It genuinely seemed like they wanted to like commit to this Wonka prequel. And that's exactly what they pretty much did. I'm hoping to rewatch it again this week. I know Victoria wants to go see it. So I'm going to go with her, hopefully. But yeah, it was a 4 out of 5 for me. It's just outside my top 10 of the year. Just one of those experiences where, like, yeah, like Tyler said, maybe this isn't on the level of Poor Things, but at the end of the day, it's just what a movie can make me feel. And this movie just had me smiling. This movie just had me giddy the entire time. I just had such a blast with everything going on screen. Just seeing Willie just continue being like this hopeful chocolatier throughout all this shit that he's enduring throughout the movie was just so heartfelt. Like I said, my favorite song was the one with Willy Wonka and Noodle. I think their relationship was just such a strong part of this movie. I think everyone, that entire group of 5 characters that was in like the hotel, like that they were like forced to work. That entire group was just, I loved their back and forth. I loved their relationships with one another. I loved how they just supported each other and they just committed to Willy's Chocolate Factory together. Keegan Michael Key was hilarious. I don't think this is going into like too much spoilers already, but I love that he just got so fat within like a week.
So
like
funny.
that made
He was
me
really funny.
I thought that was fucking hysterical because like for the most part this whole movie is very obviously unrealistic, and like I think that was just like the most over the top unrealistic thing they could have done, which is just hysterical. Like in the span of 2 days he gained like 300 pounds. He goes at one point, oh, my car shrunk, and the other guy's like, yeah, that's it. But yeah, no, 4 out of 5 for me. I loved it. I had such a good time with it. Just that really happy experience.
Nice. Yeah, same for me. I mean, I love this film. I think it's no secret how much I love, the original. I actually watched it recently, bumped up to a 5. I just adore the original. I think it's just a childhood favorite of mine, no doubt. I think this is just everything that we needed from a Willy Wonka origin story. We're soaking in the charm, the weirdness, the peculiarity of it, whilst also understanding and seeing Timothée Chalamet portraying Wonka in a new light, where he's, a more naive, childish, and kind of open to the world, and kind of knows no boundaries, and just has a kind of dream. And I think that's the perfect way we want it to be. Before obviously Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka erupts into this kind of like sarcastic, witty man. It really is this more innocent approach, which is why I think the comparisons between the two are kind of just invalid at this point. And even in general, the comparisons between him and Johnny Depp a bit easier to make, but it's a completely different Wonka. It's not as staged. I got a lot of comments on my TikTok review saying, that he wasn't as good. Well, the thing is, it's not the same take. It's completely different. This is many years before. This is before he's had his success. This is just a kid, a naive kid, a hurt kid with kind of a dream to go forward by. It's like ridiculous. It's strange. I think everyone, I said this in my review, everyone is using it to describe this film as they did with the original, but it's whimsical. It's exactly what it is. It kind of is one of those films that maybe have a smile on my face from start to finish. Loves the musical notes. Think they're fantastic. Just a bundle of joy, as George said. My favorite, obviously, being "Come with me and you'll see the world of your imagination." That makes me cry every time. It's crazy. I think that this film is like, obviously it's not going to have the same impact with you two, but it's so English. So in terms of the cast, right, just to give you like a little thing. So, okay, so for example, the main 3 villains, you got Slugworth and I can't remember the other 2 guys, whatever.
Yeah, the other 2.
So Slugworth
Hilarious.
is one of the characters in my favorite show ever, Peep Show, what I told you about all the time. It's my favorite sitcom ever, my favorite show ever, by that means. He's one of the characters in that. The guy next to him, the one with the long hair, is called Matthew Boynton. He's the main guy in my favorite ever kids show. Like how you ever like Cartoon Network, CBC, whatever. My favorite kids show, he's the main guy in that. And the guy next to him, called Matt Lucas, who I really like as well, was one of my favorite characters in a English comedy coming up. That's just how much this had over me. Do you know what I mean?
And Matt Lucas was a Great British Baking Show host for like six years. That's what I know him from. Yeah, he just stepped away last year.
I love Matt Lucas. I think he's like a British icon. And there was so many, honestly, like every minute I'd see a character from Peep Show, a character from Horrible Histories, that's the show I'm talking about, or like English sitcoms, or I'm not going to name names. There was a couple, for example, Sex Education, I'm sure the Netflix show. One of the characters, I can't remember her name, in the basement, in the working place of the hotel or whatever, the woman, she's obviously one of the teachers of Sex Education. And I'm just seeing all these like familiar faces to me growing up, and it just makes me kind of so happy to see them all in this environment. I just think it worked just wonderfully well. It was fun. It was over the top, maybe too kind of flamboyant, and appearing to be too kind of earnest and sincere for some, like I mentioned in my review, which I kind of get, because it's not going to be for everyone in terms of its take. But from what I know, I mean, I haven't seen Paddington. They should have always been expected that the style would be like this in a way, because it's very much in tune with his usual.
It felt
work.
very much like a Paul King.
Yeah, so
it had very familiar beats.
I don't know
Obviously, very much more, like you said, flamboyant, and very much more like out there than the Paddington movies, but you could still tell it's got that Paul King charm to it.
Yeah, I don't really know what people expect him when it comes to him making a film. Olivia Colman, I love seeing her play like a villainous character as well.
Dude, I
So
shit
good.
you not, didn't realize it was her for like a half hour.
What?
Something with her teeth looked different in this movie. Like I don't know
Well,
if she had like a veneer
they were
like in or
yellow.
something.
She
like,
had
they're
to have been
yellow,
wearing
yeah.
like full prosthetic on her entire face, or like
There was
No.
something about her that looked a little different to me. I agree
Really?
with that.
For like
yeah.
a half hour. I was like, this person fucking sounds so familiar,
What?
but doesn't look familiar. I was like, who the fuck is this? And then my theater was empty, so I pulled out my phone and I was like, no fucking way is this Olivia
Really?
Colman.
Jesus, man.
There had to have been some like very light, like on her nose or on her cheek, to make her look more of like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, like that, Oliver Twist era type person, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. So Olivia Colman, obviously, I love. She's from Peep Show as well. She was fantastic. Loved seeing her kind of play like this villainous, mischievous, and horrible kind of dictator-like role. Tom Davis as well, who's obviously the guy who's with her, who like captures the people. I thought he was so funny. I really, really love him. He's kind of an icon in British TV as well. Rowan Atkinson, who's obviously Mr. Bean, he was in it. He was obviously the priest guy where he gets chased by the giraffe. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I love that. It is weird how they marketed this film though, because I had no idea going in that, obviously they market by names. Hugh Grant really just doesn't have that much of a role. It doesn't really come into like, the first hour, until after the first hour. He's back and forth. And I didn't realize that Patterson Joseph, that's his name, Peep Show, was the main villain because it wasn't marketed that way at all. I thought Rowan Atkinson would have more of a part, but again, it's just like, they're marketing it around the names, which I completely understand.
Timmy and Willy Wonka are enough marketing.
It's kind of like,
yeah, but I get what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of other star power here that like it would have tapped into. I'm sure a different audience that may not have gone to see Willy Wonka in the first place. But
I don't know if it's that. It's just like, I think I just went into it thinking that more characters would have more screen time and some actors would have less screen time. Do you know what I mean? Just because they have to put the faces on like Hugh Grant and stuff like that because he's going to be more known. But yeah, just really loved it. I really liked what was her name? Something Lane.
Callie? Calla Lane.
Calla Lane, yeah. Really liked her as well. Thought she was brilliant. Yeah, and like George said, Keegan Michael Kay. Yeah. So funny. Really, really loved his character. Didn't realize he had such a big role as well. Really enjoyed that. This is one I think I'm going to go and try and see next week because I really want Anna to watch it. And she'll really like it. It's one of those, if you like, especially the original Willy Wonka, I can't imagine you not liking this. And me and Anna obviously love that film. So very excited to watch it with her. But yeah, I give it a 4.5. I just absolutely adored it. So much fun. And yeah, is there anywhere we want to take it from here? Anything we want to go over?
Yeah, a couple more things. I think it will honestly go up to like a 4 on rewatch at least for me. Because even talking about it now, I think I already want to bump it up to a 4. But I texted you guys in the group chat yesterday. I was like, I wish this came. Like, I wish and don't wish because at the same time, I want to see movies obviously thrive at the box office. But like, since I've seen it in the movie theater, I'm like, like I'd love this to come out on digital because this movie's so Christmas coded. Like it's not a Christmas film, but you get the snow, you get the warm fuzzy feelings. Like I would love to watch this again.
I always count like Willy Wonka as a Christmas film, even though it's not directly related. It's just because of the winter feel, the snow, so it kind of has that feel. I watch it every Christmas, the original. So then this will be a crazy double feature. Like this first, the origin story, then seeing the different take on him with Willy Wonka the second. That's like a perfect double feature. So yeah, I know what you mean, definitely.
Yeah, because where I think like this shines is because Willy Wonka in this movie isn't quite the cynical, views. He doesn't realize how corrupt the world is quite yet at this point. He's a lot more innocent, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that Paul King does well to balance that is in the other Wonka films, obviously most of the film just takes place in his chocolate shop. So the cynicism and the negativity of the world comes from his character, the Wonka character. Whereas in this film, you get a lot more of the outside world, which that's where the cynicism comes in. That's where the greed, that's where this movie still has a lot of that, where you see the world is not quite this beautiful place. But instead of Wonka's character showing us that, we see the greedy chocolate cartel that are trying to shut him down. We see the corrupt police. We see the corrupt priests in the religion. So I think it was just very well balanced to be able to, like, Willy Wonka at this point is very happy-go-lucky, very innocent, very wanting to succeed on his own 2 feet. But at the same time, the entire world on the outside has given us that, that level of cynicism we're used to in all the Wonka films. So I think it was just balanced really well. And
absolutely,
I mean, like there's moments where you're genuinely tear jerkers. Like Wonka's story, like he's so happy in this, but is genuinely tragic. Like what he's like trying to do the whole time, what his like main goal, like the whole reason he wants to open a chocolate shop is like, and when he finally kind of realizes that once he opens it up and that it's not everything he thought it was going to be for obvious reasons, like you're like, damn, this is like really devastatingly emotional. The fact that like this is his whole mission because of this one thing he set out to do. And when it happens, I mean, we all knew the entire movie. We're like, we know nothing's going to change when he opens a chocolate shop. Like what he's hoping that will happen is impossible.
He got that show quick as well. Crazy. Did you see that design?
Yeah, dude,
like,
the turnaround time.
Nowhere, like crazy. Like,
but no, I'm really. I thought that they were gonna pull like a very classic, like heartfelt ending, and like actually have Willy Wonka's mom like appear, like I know she like appears, but
yeah.
like I really thought they were gonna like genuinely make her like come back, like oh somehow she heard of this Wonka shop and she's there, but obviously I think it's implied that she is no longer with us. But I'm really happy that they went the route of just like, and I kind of wish they did this with Noodle, where like Wonka kind of found his new family. He found his Oompa Loompa, he found his Noodle, he found his entire gang of bandits, I guess, whatever you want to call them, to open this Wonka shop with. And
it's
I think
crazy
like,
calling them bandits.
I don't know what to call them. Whatever,
like,
just
I don't know what to call them either. To be fair, what even are they at this stage? Like,
the Fellowship.
I mean, they're like yeah. The fellowship slaves or something.
The indentured servants.
Yeah, something that's not disrespectful to workers in laundry shops, I guess. I don't know. But no, I'm happy that they went the route with like Wonka kind of found a new family, and like his mother's legacy is still there in his chocolate, but I'm glad that they didn't go the route of like a typical like maybe like Disney-esque ending where like she appears.
Yeah, that was always a case where it would have been really weird to do that. I think it was nice having the little shot of obviously her appearing and him like, not achieving his goal, but like reconnecting in a way through his love for kind of his dream.
Excuse me.
And again, like Tyler said, it's just having that naive approach and that childlike approach of just wanting to, reconnect with his mom. I think it's a really, really nice feel. And it's definitely really heartful as well. And it comes across. And I think, well, from what I've gathered, I think that's what Paul King excels in, is having these really emotionally climactic endings that really work with the rest of the film and kind of, make everything come together. I think that's kind of what I've gathered from, from the Paul King crowd, because that man has a cult following. It's crazy. Yeah. Do you know what's weird? Paul King, right? I hear more of Paul King, of Paddington's name in terms of the films from Americans. I'm not sure why. Like, I hear it all the time on TikTok.
It's like a beloved movie around here.
I didn't realize. Like, I thought it was like a meme at first when I first heard how people we said how good it was. Because I hadn't even seen the first one. One thing I did want to ask you both, because I was going to, obviously George kind of mentioned his number one. I was going to actually, I got it written down anyway. If you had to say your top 3 songs from Wonka, what would they be?
Oh man, God, I have to look.
Do you want me to give mine first?
Yeah,
I don't. The thing is, I don't know the names. Hold on, let me pull up the.
I've got the names. I'll give mine first.
Yeah, so, you go for it, Seth.
My number 3 is "You've Never Had Chocolate Like This." That one's mine. I got 12 songs. Yeah, that's mine. My number 2 is "Sweet Tooth," where it's like the 3 of them surrounding Keegan-Michael Kay. In the downstairs of the church. I fucking love that one when they like just continue to trying to bribe him and they end up getting like 7,000 boxes of chocolates. I love that one. And obviously my number 1 is Pure Imagination, because that is a hard one. Like, imagine trying to be as good as Gene Wilder doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a hard one to accomplish. And I thought it was timed really well.
I was gonna say the timing of it was so perfect.
Timing was so perfect. That's exactly what I mean with Paul King. That's why I want to watch Paddington movies. The timing on that, when he's with Hugh Grant's character, is just perfection. So that's definitely my top 3.
All right.
You have yours, George?
I think I have mine.
Let's hear it.
All right. I think at number 3. Oh, fuck me. I got my top 2. My number 3, now that I'm just looking through the track list, there are so many like good ones.
Yeah, I'm missing Scrub, and I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I think my number 3 is "You've Never Had Chocolate Like This."
Yeah, bang.
I think that was just such a fun little number to like really introduce Wonka and introduce like just this movie. Number 2, I just think for its level of iconic, I think I have to put Pure Imagination.
Yeah.
And then, my number 1 is "For a Moment," the Noodle Wonka song.
Yeah, I think for me it would be Pure Imagination, just purely because of the timing, is probably my favorite. But in terms of just pure songs, For a Moment's got to be up there. So if I'm gonna do top 3, I don't know in order. With Pure Imagination, For a Moment. Yeah, You Never Had Chocolate Like This is just such a banger, isn't it?
That is a banger.
There are a couple bangers.
Yeah,
Is it? I was
those are my
surprised by how
top
many
3.
things there
But
were.
Scrub
Was there any
Scrub, like
songs-
shout out Scrub.
Yeah, Scrub bangs.
What did you guys think of? So I had a conversation with a few people recently about this. What did you think of the first song? Because that seems to be the most like polarizing in terms of what people thought. The one, It's a Hat Full of Dreams, where he's kind of walking through and he's just entered the town. He's like walking through and doing stuff. Because I actually liked it. I liked it, honestly. I thought it was good, but a lot of people said that's kind of where they, weren't as high on it. Or whatever.
I can see why it'd be polarizing because it's like the first one, and like already from the trailer, some people were uneasy going into this, and then immediately you get Paul King's whimsical cinematography and the visual effects, and you're like, okay, like, and you're joining this world, and then the song hits. So I feel like it's just at this point people are very not settled in yet to the movie. I can see why it'd be a little polarizing. But if you listen to it like on a soundtrack on shuffle, then maybe you could be like, people might like it a lot more. I think that the timing might have been what threw that one off. But there's, like I said in my review, like the songs range from like average to really good, and then there's a couple great. But I would say there's not a single song where I was like, skip, like,
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like there's not. Usually when I watch a musical, there's like a few songs I'm like, I wasn't really feeling this one,
Right.
but I at least thought at least every one of them was like okay. And I think that kind of comes back to what George's point earlier, that every cast member was really on it. As much as Hugh Grant apparently hated it, which I'm not surprised by.
Yeah, everyone kept commenting on my TikTok that. What is that like news?
No. He said he just hated filming it because he had to wear the what's it called? Motion.
Yeah.
But he also said he hated filming Love Actually in the dance scenes. Isn't it just like British humor for him to just like hate everything he's been in? But he doesn't actually.
It is kind of so. Hugh Grant's an interesting character because I think it doesn't translate to across the pond that well sometimes, because people get really annoyed by and say like he's so rude and stuff like that. He's actually not. It's just the British sarcasm that kind of comes out of him. Like he's very English.
But you guys are mad rude.
Yeah, mad rude. I do think though that it's not surprising that you hated filming this. I bet that is a bit weird, just having that on for like ages and just being so uncomfortable in this thing.
Yeah, I feel like part of it might be a sarcasm, though, just simply because like when you sign on to this movie, you got to know that's what you're in for.
Did you guys see that they did a press junket and Timothée Chalamet was saying like introduced himself as Wonka and then in French, and then Hugh Grant did it as an Oompa Loompa in French? Did you see that?
No.
It's the funniest thing because Willy Wonka's like, yes, and he's like really, enthusiastic, and then Hugh Grant's like Oompa Loompa, and he's just like the most. I just saw so many tweets that I've never seen anyone want to do anything less than Hugh Grant speaking in French, and it's so fucking funny.
It's like when you literally sign on to be an Oompa Loompa, though, like you got to be expecting this.
Yeah, I thought the Oompa Loompa design was really funny. I actually really, really liked it.
Way smaller than I had expected.
Well, he is small though, isn't he? He's
that's so funny.
Yeah,
the whole movie, he's like, I'm actually tall for an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
And he's like, actually, I'm short. And they make fun of me all the time. And they kind of all.
What did they say? Yeah, they said they called him something shorty or something.
Short. I can't remember because there's that scene where obviously it flashes back to the island and he's with them. He's being kicked out. They're like a lot bigger than him. Like he's a small Oompa Loompa. And if you're small for an Oompa Loompa, you're fucking small. Like that's the thing. I mean, you're crazy.
Yeah, he was literally
small.
fitting inside of chocolate jars.
Yeah.
I was shocked by the because before I even saw Wonka, there's so many like critic reviews that I saw get a lot of traction that they're like, this movie would have been so good if it wasn't for like the disgusting, revolting fat jokes in it. And as a member of the fat society, I was expecting a lot worse. And I feel like we're in a society where people get upset like when it's not even something like making fun of them. So like I feel like if you're gonna say the fat jokes upset you, completely fine, but post a pic of the scale. Like I have to know, you got to be a true, like you can't be like 150 and say the fat jokes are offensive. Like,
don't give a number to this.
Yeah, you got show me the scale. You can't be 150 pounds and say the fat jokes offended you.
I don't get this, man, because it's like, don't get me wrong, if you're offended, whatever, that's fine. But I see zero malice in the joke, like whatsoever. Like I see. It was just the fact that he was eating chocolate. Like
right, no one like made fun of him. It was just
if you eat that much chocolate, you're gonna gain weight, and that's the whole point. That he just addicted to the chocolate because he loved it so much. So
he ate like 800 boxes in a day. Like,
what is gonna happen if you eat 100 boxes in a day? Like, you're probably gonna end up like that. So it's just like I don't see any distaste in the joke at all. Because usually, when people say that, okay, Tyler, next goal wins. Perfect example. I fully understand that. Like, especially from a trans perspective, if you are trans, I think that was like really, really poor taste.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, there's no malice. It's just there's not even a piss out of people who are overweight. It's just
it plays into the he's eating a lot of
it just
chocolate.
plays into this is how good the
Yeah,
chocolate is.
like
This
it's
guy-
not like there was just random like.
I'm not being funny.
That's-
Okay.
Yeah.
It's literally science. I'm not being funny. Like, don't get me wrong, it probably wouldn't be that quick. But if you eat that many boxes, this guy was finishing them off like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He was eating like hundreds. You're probably gonna get quite overweight. Do you know what I mean?
And thematically, it like
yeah.
works. They didn't just throw it in. Like clearly, it's trying to show like the more money that the politicians are throwing at him, he was just getting completely overstuffed with corruption. Like it's not like they're just like, look, fat guy. Like it worked symbolically for the film too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't get that at all. I didn't get that at all.
Seth, that was jokes. It's literally science.
It literally is science. Like, it's literally body dynamics. If you eat that much chocolate, odds are
ReelTok Podcast. Come for the movie opinions, stay for the scientific facts.
Stay to get wonked as well.
You've heard it here first. Seth says if you eat 800 boxes of chocolate in a 24-hour period, you will indeed gain weight.
You will indeed look like he might in that film.
Confirmed.
Maybe not as quickly though, because that is crazy. His turnaround, he must have been eating like mad.
Dude,
Does that guy not feel sick? You know when
The
you eat something
car
like-
shrank, and then
car.
Slugworth goes, "Yeah, dude, that's it."
The last thing I'll say is like Keegan-Michael Key is a character that you could so easily use wrong. Like you could use too much of him. I think there's a lot of comedic characters working in Hollywood nowadays where it's like, they're funny for what they are, but if you overuse them, it can be really abrasive. They use the perfect amount of Keegan-Michael Key.
No,
was fine.
I wasn't expecting to like him. Well, I didn't expect him to have a bigger part, to be fair, but I really, really enjoyed his character. I thought it was hilarious. I really, really enjoyed him. I don't actually know. I've not seen him in too much. Honestly, I know he's done a lot of voice work. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a ton of voice work, but yeah,
I've really not seen him in that much. Was he in Get Out?
I don't believe so. He's mostly in like C-tier comedies and voice work, but
He is in Get Out.
really,
Yeah,
That's
he is
cool.
in Get Out.
gotta
I
be
don't-
very minor supporting role or something. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't remember him at all.
I don't
He-
remember him at all.
Is he?
But I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the
Oh.
background or something, but maybe not.
Well, yeah, because he's done things. He's done productions with Jordan Peele, obviously with Wendell and Wild. So that might have been why. He might
Oh
have
yeah,
been ready to
yeah. I
do
think he's
some-
just a big voice actor guy. I mean, he has a very
Yeah.
iconic voice.
But yeah, I really, really liked him. I thought he worked really, really well.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to go over in terms of anything else? Or
No,
perfect. So I give it a 4.5. Tiger with 3.5, and George gave it a 4. George
and Cam gave it a 4.5.
Yeah.
based.